Hello everyone, welcome to Global Government News. Today is Wednesday, July 28th, 2010, and I am Darko. Today we have a bunch of news to cover, everything from the economy, as far as unemployment increasing 75% in metropolitan areas, and U.S. Consumer confidence being at an all-time low. We also have other news as far as the Representative Graham wanting to bring on criminal charges against WikiLeaks, and a lot more. So please stay with me in these three video series of this news bulletin for July 28th. The first news article that I'll be starting off with is Judge blocks part of Arizona immigration law, and this is from the Jacksonville News.com. This is posted today. It says a federal judge stepped into the fight over Arizona's immigration law at the last minute Wednesday, blocking the heart of the measure and diffusing a confrontation between police and thousands of activists that have been building for months. And I just remember reading in a comment board just earlier about how the majority of Hispanics that are citizens of the United States are actually for this. And so, yeah, they came in the last second, and a federal judge basically stopped it from happening. It says just hours before the law took place or went into effect, it would set up a lengthy legal battle that could end up before the Supreme Court, ensuring that a law that reignited the immigration debate, inspired similar measures nationwide, created fodder for political campaigns, and blah, 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 right? Protesters who gathered at the state capitol and outside the U.S. Embassy in Mexico City cheered when they heard the news. The governor, the law's author, and anti-illegal immigration groups vowed to fight on. Quote, "It's a temporary bump in the road," Janet Brewer said, governor of Arizona. And says U.S. District Judge Susan Bulletin will now have to decide a question as old as the nation itself. Does federal law trump state law? She indicated in her ruling that the federal government's case has a good chance at succeeding. So, what is my take on this? I'm not surprised by it. A lot of these types of things happen in politics where you think something that could possibly be good gets changed or stopped at the last minute. Similar to bills like the healthcare bill or cap and trade bill or the bailout bill or stimulus, where basically it's a 3,000-page bill and Congress doesn't even get a chance to look at it, and or for maybe an hour or two before the bill is supposed to be signed, or the Congress goes into session, they just get a draft of it. So this is how they work. And so I just to sum up this article right here, basically my take on it is that it's a pretty crappy situation because it's a double-edged sword. I don't want to be for this Arizona immigration law because, like I said, it's a double-edged sword and it can be used against regular citizens. So you don't want them setting the precedence for other states to allow an already militarized, federalized police force to be able to have the power to just start going around IDing everybody like they were in Canada for the G20. That's pretty much, a slippery slope, and it would be nice to be able to identify these people. With that said, something has to be done. And I don't think the government is the answer. And I wanted to say that it would be nice if we were living in a stateless society, if we did not have borders. And see, the Mexican citizens that come over the border illegally and then work here for lower wages are contributing to an already degrading economy, right? And our government is going bankrupt, right? So, and the states are going bankrupt. So we have to start cutting programs, and it sucks, but the first thing that they're going to do is immigration. And so, long story short, I believe in no borders. I believe in no no nations. Right? I think that we should be able to do that, and it would make things a lot easier. But we are living in a nation, and people are still paying tax, are being forced at gunpoint to pay taxes that go to social programs that help and aid these people that are living in our country, who are not paying taxes, who are not paying to this by force. And so with that, I think that until we become basically a stateless society, we cannot have this kind of double-edged, or this double standard, right? Because that's pretty much what it is. The people that are legal immigrants want all these rights, but they're not citizens. They're not forced by gunpoint to pay for these services, and we are. So we have every right to basically stop them from doing what they're doing. In other words, we don't have a big influx of white European illegal immigrants. Polish and Russians are about the extent of illegal immigrants that you have to worry about, but it's not a big problem. It's not like a epidemic or a big deal, right? The big deal is that there's a big influx of immigrants that are illegal that have been coming into this country for about a good 30 years, if not more, and they're not exactly paying into the tax system. So that's my beef with it. So as long as we have a country, as long as we're being forced to pay taxes for services, and these people are getting them for free, well then, I think we should be able to identify these people somehow, right? Because there is a problem going on, and I think we all know where the problem is coming from when it comes to illegal immigration. So they should be able to be identified on the streets, and they're not going to voluntarily go to the registration office and register themselves, so authorities are going to have to go find them. So one last and final point that I would like to make that you might appreciate is that this saying of, well, they're doing jobs that Americans aren't willing to do. Well, that's bullshit, right? That's bullshit, because as of right now, I'm unemployed. I've been unemployed for almost 13 months. I'm finding a hard time to find work. Well, let's see. If I go and I work for someone that wants to pay me less than minimum wage, if we get caught, I get arrested, and he gets arrested, he gets fined and can lose his business. You know what I'm saying? So I can't work for less, even if I wanted to. But if I were, and if I was to go work for somebody, I probably would get busted. This next article is called Congress Narrows Gap in Cocaine Sentences. Congress on Wednesday changed a quarter-century-old law that has subjected tens of thousands of blacks to long prison terms for crack cocaine convictions, while giving far more lenient treatment to those, mainly whites, caught with the powder form of the drug. This was posted Wednesday, July 28th. So that's a good positive thing. This isn't so positive. Unemployment rises in 75% of metro areas. It says the unemployment rate in about 3/4 of the nation's largest metro areas rose last month as nearly 1 million teenagers entered the workforce looking for summer jobs. It says the Labor Department said Wednesday that the unemployment rate rose in 291 of 374 areas in June from May. It fell in 55 areas and was flat in 28. A lot of mumbo jumbo, but it says the report does not adjust the figures to take into account seasonal trends. It says the economic recovery has spurred some hiring, with private employers adding an average of 100,000 jobs each month this year, but the pace of hiring has slowed in May and June, and that's mostly because all the employment was government census workers, and that was temporary work, and isn't nearly fast enough to bring down the unemployment rate. And of course, it says earlier this month, the government said the nation's unemployment rate fell to a seasonally adjusted 9.5%. Well, our unemployment rate was around 18% already, the real unemployment rate. So if you still want to believe that the unemployment rate is 9%, you go right ahead. This next article is called Consumer Confidence Falls Lowest Since February. U.S. consumer confidence sank in July to its lowest since February on job market worries. And please join me for this next part of this video series. Thank you.